Welcome to the Impact on the Ground podcast series. I'm Tiia Sammalahti, CEO of whatimpact.com, a tech for good company with the mission to become the LinkedIn of CSR. In this podcast series, we'll dig deeper into what it takes to make an impactful change in our society. I'll give a voice to charities, social enterprises, companies, grant makers, individuals, and government officials who all have one thing in common. They are keen to make a difference. We dive into practical solutions and observe the dynamics of those who have resources to give and those working with the beneficiaries on the ground. Let's start making an impact together. Hello, everyone. Today's theme is workplace experience, and I have here a workplace experience innovator, Hugo from Startup Sherpas, today to chat with me. Hello, Hugo. Lovely to have you here.
Hello, lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. Pleasure is mine. Could you tell about Startup Sherpas? What does your organization do?
So Startup Sherpas offers paid work experience programs to teenagers, and that draws them into program. It turns out that because teenagers love cash, that brings them into our world where we can actually show them a lot of experiences to teach them how to bring their ideas to life through both the paid work experience program and our startup program, 16 by 16.
That seems quite an innovation. I thought that all work experiences are just like free, and nobody would ever pay for that. How did you kind of make this work?
So we run our work experience programs through our platform. And through that platform, the teenagers come and they collect their missions to do each day. And those missions are audited and they actually put their work back onto the platform. They upload the work that they've done. And that allows us to be providing real value to our partner organizations. So we're able to create insights reports, we're able to support them in their early talent pipelines, as well as the social impact element of our work. And so that means that corporates pay us and it allows us to pay the teenagers.
Okay, that's cool. So they really must deliver value then. So what are these assignments then? What are they actually delivering?
So one of our recent assignments was on cybersecurity, where the teenagers were actually working with the UK tax office. And that was done in partnership with Accenture. So it was actually part of a social value contract. And through that work, the teenagers were looking at how they could reduce tax fraud. And so a subject that you wouldn't normally expect teenagers to be interested in. But through that project, they came up with 1,000 ideas related to the reduction of tax fraud, which teenagers, it turns out, are really interested in because they're used to being scammed online. So it's a very similar world where they're interested in the kind of cybersecurity elements of that. And through that 6-week project, they're doing 24 hours of work. And in the end, they had 10 different ideas that they selected as their best ideas to give back to the team at HMRC. And most interestingly, 17 of those students actually wanted jobs there and wanted to go on and pursue a career looking at both tax and cybersecurity, which was really important.
Well, that's just amazing. I'm just stunned. I want to hear more about these case studies, but firstly, let's discuss about workplace experience in general. We've been at What Impact asked a lot by companies, kind of that how could they find opportunities for workplace experiences. Companies are looking to cater young people, but then they would like to kind of be more inclusive and find young people who might not be easily given these opportunities. They might not have contacts. Maybe there are some disabilities, learning disabilities, when kind of some young people are totally left out. Actually, we were just doing some research on the topic, and I believe there are lots of young people who don't get any experiences. and they are not offered any opportunities. So a lot of this kind of a mismatch is going on the work experience market. And I guess they are like work shadowing. You go somewhere to visit one day or couple of days, or if you're lucky, you get to be somewhere for 2 weeks and kind of do something. But this is the current kind of main state of this business. What are the challenges, and how should this kind of a scenario be improved so everybody would have an opportunity, and especially these groups that don't have any extra support in the future, even in the labor market?
So you're absolutely right. We see that when we speak to young people, they often say there are no opportunities available to them. And when we speak to businesses, we say that there's no talent available to them. So these two things can't both be true, right? There can't be a lack of talent and a lack of opportunity at the same time. It's just a signal of that mismatch. Mm. So first of all, work experience is currently being done for free in schools in 1 week of the year. And that is being done for logistical reasons because of the challenges that schools have. So trying to organise the volume of students to move out of the safeguarded environment of the school grounds into workplace environments is a very, very laborious activity. It then adds risk to any business who's trying to take a young person into their business. They're worried about the safeguarding of that student. They're worried about the health and safety impact of that student. And then there's a load on that organisation to have some work experience for this young person to have done. In schools, we don't teach young people how to act in the workplace. So, for example, the whole way through school, you're told to follow the rules. You are essentially put in, a large cage that's called school grounds, essentially a cage, right? You're locked in, and you're told that you must not break the rules, otherwise there'll be a consequence. And you go into a workplace where you want people to show initiative. You want people to actually go and speak to other colleagues, to go and get information. You want them to act in an entirely different way to the way they've acted in school, because that's what we've taught them. So you're doing this at a time when everyone else is also doing this in this same week of work experience, usually in year 10. And that means that the careers leaders in schools have one of the worst jobs in the world trying to get this organised, and that a lot of organisations will tell us that they are doing work experience programmes, right? They're ticking the box. The way that work experience is being measured in terms of value, I think, is one of the issues that we have to really ask ourselves, what is the benefit of someone coming and making a cup of tea in your office for a week? Because the work shadowing experiences that students report to us, they're not giving the students confidence. They're not giving the students an understanding of the industry or the industry dynamics. And they're not really recognizing that young person as having value. And so it's unpaid, right? The value exchange is, I will let you come and see what my work is like, and that is the value I'm giving to you. What we see is the young people are at their peak creativity. And if you actually want to bring new insights into your business and future-proof your business, you have the opportunity to work with them in a meaningful way. And that is best done through a platform where you can de-risk it for yourselves, both logistically by not having them immediately on site, but also by working with lots of young people at the same time, because some young people won't get it. They'll just be saying really weird things and not making any sense, and others will be absolutely astounding at getting it. And so we think that partly the requirements of the Gatsby benchmarks that they place on schools for this kind of physical element of work experience and a site visit drives a behavior from schools that says they need this physical work experience, that an experience of the workplace is important for them to understand that they can go in and do this work. And I think there's real truth in that. There's real truth that teenagers should go and experience the physical location of work. But I think only once you've qualified them as being someone who may actually want to go and work there. And so by offering a virtual experience to them, where the student gets paid and actually gets the experience of what work is that I will do something that provides value, and then I will get money for that thing that I provided value for, is a true experience of work. You know, they have to learn that there are deadlines, that they have to be a part of the team. They have to learn that there is boring administration activities like paperwork to do. We have to get them to complete all of the paperwork for being able to work for us and get paid. They have to provide their bank details. You know, 82% of the students, when asked for the name on their bank account, will give us their bank's name, not their own name, because they've never provided their bank details before. And so, you know, what we're seeing is that once they've done that, we can then go and give our partner organizations a list of students who actually want to go and work in their industry, right? So they might want to go and work in cyber, or they might want to go and work in green jobs. And because of that, then it's really valuable to bring them into your workplace and meet your team, because when you talk to that young person, they'll be able to take part and actually have a conversation with you and take part in work that's actually meaningful work, because they've already started that journey. And I think that's one of the things that's really missing in the current system.
Yeah, makes all a tremendous amount of sense. And I guess it's not only workplace experience what you're offering, but it's almost like employment experience. It's a mini employment, and I truly understand, you know, the fact that there might be students who don't even have a bank account, that they have to actually set it up for the employment, which is a good thing, of course. But and also this equal opportunity that you have, like, quite big groups. How many are there usually in the case?
So we recruit into a squad usually 100 teenagers into one of our squads. And so the focus of that recruitment is on diversity. Interestingly, actually, my co-founder, Kathy, has coined a new diversity term, which is raise your hand diversity. Because what we saw when we were going into schools was that a lot of the corporate programs are achieving diversity metrics. But if you look at the students that they're all on their programs, what you have is a subset of diverse students who all raise their hand.
Yeah.
So each student will be on 5 to 10 programs, but then all of the other students are not on any programs. What we found is that it turns out teenagers love cash. And that when you pay them cash, you get to students who wouldn't normally raise their hand, because they come onto our programs really just to mug us off, right? They just want some cash for an easy job. And what they discover is they've got ideas, that their ideas are valuable, that they have confidence in expressing their ideas. And actually, we see 25% of the students on our work experience programs want to go onto our startup programs to explore their own ideas because they realize they're valuable.
That's just amazing. You know, there are so many, like you said, that you go and make some tea in some office, and you know, you hang around and you see what's happening, but it doesn't really give you ideas for your own future, and you don't still understand what the people are doing. And I can see definitely value for, like you said, like certain industries that might not be instantly appealing to teenagers. They don't think about that they want to work with tax, maybe cybersecurity or something they are not even thinking about, or insurance, or something like that. But then they can realize that those industries have like so interesting tasks and problems to solve, and that their ideas count. That's, yeah, I totally get the power of this. So how Startup Sherpas, how do you kind of like find these young people? Are they all coming from the same school, or do you combine a lot of different schools? Or how does it go? How do you form this 100 people squad?
So we recruit based, as I said, on diversity. So we focus on every aspect of diversity, from students' heritage, neurodiversity, gender and identity. And one of the things we found was that for us, diversity is about getting the best results from the squad in terms of the work that they're doing. And that works best when they're able to meet people who have real differences to them. So So one of our squads recently had a student from Orkney and Brighton on the same squad. And on most of the factors of diversity, they were the same, right? You'd have kind of been able to use the stats to see that they were very similar. And they both lived by a beach. But their experiences of living by the beach and ostensibly being so similar, that geographical difference meant that their life experience was so different. But also that they had a bond that they both lived by a beach, which made a friendship. And so that when we're looking across that kind of group, what we're trying to do is make sure that no one knows each other before they get there. Because one of the things we've seen is when we just work with one school and one group of students, we translate the school experience into our program. When everyone's new, what they actually have is an opportunity to be a new version of themselves. So when we're working with students who may be about to be excluded, which is actually one of our best groups of students, they usually perform exceptionally well. They often come out as being exceptional students because they're not who they are at school. They've already been labelled at school, often because they had a SEND issue that wasn't dealt with properly, or another behavioural issue that just hasn't been dealt with properly. And they go into that cycle of the labelling, reinforcing behaviour. But also because it gives them an opportunity to do this work on their own time, at their own schedule, in their own space, in their own way. And that's an opposite experience of school. And so what we're seeing across all of our programs is that we're seeing amazing results with SEND students who find the structure of our program really benefits them. We're finding that students who don't do well in school really work well on our program. And we're finding that really all of the other diversity metrics are almost irrelevant to how they perform. So things like whether they're on free school meals or not is entirely irrelevant to whether a student's going to perform well or not. What is relevant is if a student's on free school meals, they're getting paid for that work experience. And about a third of our students are actually giving some of the money they're earning back to their families. One of our challenges to society is why we're accepting free work experience from young people in the middle of a cost of living crisis in a country where we have reports from, I think yesterday, I saw on the BBC that the founder of the Bank of Dave is having to give loans to parents who are having to buy baby milk and get a loan for it. And when we live in that world, we're then saying to young people, come and do this work experience, making a cup of tea for free for a week. And that's not acceptable. We really do see that there are serious challenges in this kind of workspace experience that we do need to change. You know, that is not providing value to young people in terms of giving them confidence. It's not providing value in terms of giving them any economic power. And it's not providing value in terms of really showing them what work is.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's not actually so long ago when I started What Impact 2017. It wasn't uncommon that even graduates were asked to come as an interns for free. It was legal. I mean, it wasn't illegal at. It was illegal, but there were still a lot of companies who were kind of perceived so kind of wonderful and kind of precious that they could choose the students, and they would come there for 3 or 4 months and not getting paid. And I was even that time thinking that, oh my goodness, of course we always paid about the internship, but that's absolutely true that I haven't even thought about it, that why shouldn't then the 14, 15, 16-year-old student, why wouldn't their time be valuable?
Yeah.
And that's just, you're absolutely right that it's kind of sending a wrong signal in that sense. And also, I guess that's why it's not probably being considered paid work, because they're not doing anything useful in many cases. You know what I'm saying? That they are taken in as this kind of a gesture, a favor to a friend, or because social value requirement, and you don't really even expect to benefit from this labor or shadowing or something. And therefore, that lack of deliverable, makes it kind of non-paid and not necessarily value for money, but your
And
type of
I
concept.
actually
kind of-
know, yeah, some of our partners, partner organizations run really fantastic work experience programs where they put a huge amount of resources and value into the experience for the young people. So, for example, the Financial Times run the New School, and what they've chosen to do is create it as an experience. And so I think it's fantastic what they're doing. I don't think it's an experience of work. I think that they've done a really fantastic job of creating an experience to expose young people to the industry. I think it gives young people a network and an opportunity to meet that organization and with the potential of jobs. I think some of the outcomes of it are fantastic, but they're not having to do the form filling and the giving the bank details and meeting the deadlines and actually in that way, I think even where there's a really great team doing great work in that space, it's still not meeting the requirements of setting students up for success in their future life that you get by simply paying them, right? There's so much about that relationship change when you pay them.
Yeah.
That suddenly you are valuing them. And one of the things we see from the young people is when they start on our program, the first question they ask us, is this a scam?
Yeah.
They can't comprehend anyone paying them for their ideas.
Yeah.
6 weeks later, the biggest question they ask us is, who owns the IP for my idea?
Yeah.
And in 6 weeks, they go from there's no value in my idea, so this must be a scam, otherwise why would you be paying us, through to thinking about the intellectual property rights for their own idea, which is in itself a sophistication leap from where they started.
Yes,
But more importantly,
absolutely.
it's a confidence
Yeah,
leap.
knowing their own value and being proud of themselves because they have actually delivered something valuable.
Exactly. And that's it.
So
We're able to actually measure that because we can link the increase in their confidence across the universal skills framework. So the wage premium that they'll get from the increase in their confidence. And actually, we're able to calculate the financial return on the social impact that's being made. So we're able to put a money figure on it as well for each of our cohorts through simply that increase in confidence.
So how, if now an organization, a company or any other type of organization wishes to do this, they contact you, you're a social enterprise, yeah, you have your own social mission, yeah. And so what kind of models do you have to work? Is it always 100 young people, or are there different size of groups and a little bit different type of assignments?
Yeah, so we always run our groups as groups of 100 teenagers or more against a question. But now we're starting to look at specific industries. So cyber is one of them, also green jobs is another one, and sustainability, where we're running students from multiple funding partners in the same groups, so that when we're looking at the social value aspect of contracts, we can match the investment from a contract and be able to fund students through a program that we already have in flight. So we're making that model flexible so that we can try and maximize the number of contracts that we can be a part of, so that more and more organizations can partner with us through the social value elements of any contract and bid that they're working on.
Okay, cool. So startupsherpas.org is the website, yeah?
Correct, yes.
All right, and let's hope that this conversation, raises new interest and brings you new companies, because it sounds amazing, and harnessing technology for this kind of good is very important, and there is like pretty much nothing that doesn't include technology nowadays, and young people especially are so kind of inherently talented in that that also makes the engagement with them easier, because they feel like at home using technology. So well done Hugo and your team. Thank you for this chat, and let's be in touch.